Welcome, everybody. This is the Central Florida Computer Society Windows Special Interest Group, or WinSIG, for Sunday, August 14th, 2022. I'm Hewie Poplock. We're going to open up Edge today. This is what I'm using for the show. And we'll go to hewie.net. And as usual, if you go to the Windows SIG, there we go. Here's for today. You'll see the second one, I think, may point to an article. It's going to point to a video probably tomorrow. So the video I'm going to show is not up on YouTube yet because I just finished rendering it and I still have some beginning and ending things to work on by tomorrow morning for the Tech for Seniors show. But I am going to show you first something I did for Tech for Seniors last week. If you saw it, you probably we'll learn some things that you missed. Today, I'm going to show you how to find anything using it. We'll get it back to the beginning here. Anyway, this is a video that I did last week on how to find anything using everything on a PC. I've talked about everything, and I may even have demonstrated a piece of it here or a piece of it there on this CFCS WinSIG, but I've never done a recording on it. I thought I had, and I went looking, and I couldn't find one. So if I have, I've updated it. I also sent a link to it to the creator of the program, and he sent me back a nice note thanking me for doing the video. So I felt pretty good that he did that. So anyway, it's a short video on how to find anything using everything on a PC. By the way, everything works on all versions of Windows, even if you're using Windows 7, 8, 10, or 11, it will work on it. So let's take a look. Today, I'm going to show you how to find anything using everything on a PC. I'm Hewie Poplock. That's right. I like to find files quickly. Windows doesn't really give us a chance to do so. I'm going to use a program that I've talked about many times, but I've never really demonstrated in detail. We're going to try to do that today. Using Everything by Void Tools. You use Windows Search or Cortana, you'll find a few files on your system, and then it'll say, well, let's go to Windows Explorer and see what we can find. When you do that and you put in your search, you will find that it takes quite a bit of time. I have 3 screen captures here. The first one about 5 minutes in, the second one about 9 minutes in, and the last one about 30 minutes in when it finally finished. So it takes a long time just to find one term when you're searching with Windows Explorer. When you are searching using everything, as soon as you open it, it's ready to go and it finds everything within a second. This is the website, voidtools.com, where you can download the installer, where you can download a portable version as well. Let's take a look at a live demo. Let's open up everything. As soon as we do, it's there, and we can start searching. So let's use the term CFCS to search, and it now has found 1,540 objects. It does the folders first. And as we scroll down, you can see there's a lot of items there. As we scroll down, then we get the files. There are some that are Excel spreadsheets and PDF files and all kinds of files. And we can sort in several ways. And we're going to take a look at some different ways in which we can sort. First, we are sorting alphabetically with the folders at the top. If we click the name, we reverse that. So now we're starting at the Z under the files, then we go to the folder. So we can search alphabetically from A to Z, Z to A. We can sort by the path, and then we can reverse that, and it will do the G and C. And I'm going to talk about how you set that up in a moment. You can do by size. So you can have the largest file at the top. In this case, it's 2 gigabytes. Or you can go to the smallest. Those are folders, so there's not sizes, but then we start at 1K. Or you can go by date modified to the date that I'm recording this, which is the 7th of August. or you can reverse it and go to the oldest file using the CFCS. My folder is 2012. The oldest file by itself is 1998 on my hard drive. Now there's different views you can have. Right now we're looking at the details. You can have medium thumbnails, you can have large thumbnails, and you can have extra large thumbnails. Let's look at different items that you can search. You can search everything, which is what we're set at now, but you can only look at audio files, compressed files, documents, executables, just folders, just pictures, or just videos. Another thing that we can do under View, we can have a preview window. That means if we click this, we see a preview of it. So you can adjust that. But you can also adjust your column sizes so we can have all the information and see it here. You see the ability to change, and it changes very quickly. There's a couple of things I want to show you under Tools and under Options. First one is Folders. I have a D drive, which is an SD card, and G is my Google Drive. So I can search my Google Drive as well by adding it under folders. And I can exclude certain things. I don't want to show hidden files in folders. I don't want to show any system file. And in most cases, when I'm looking for a file, I'm not looking for something. It's going to be either hidden or a system file. If I'm sure that that's what a file is that I'm looking for, then I might want to uncheck those. But I'm going to keep them checked. I'm going to say, oh, it does take a few seconds when you make that. Now it's sorting them. And it's done. So now it doesn't have any of the hidden files or any of the system files. So if I type in Hewie, you will see all of the folders that have Hewie, but let's now search for any video files that have my name in it. And you will see that there are several. They're right there. I want to look at any document that has my name in it. You will see that even documents, if I click on it, I will get, sometimes takes a few seconds for it to load the file to show you the preview. I want to look for pictures, and then I can go back to search everything. Now let's say I want to find Chromebook. You can see I have a lot of files there. And if I wish, I only want to find on G, I want to look at my Google Drive, and you can see that it shows everything that's on my Google Drive. So I put a space there in the word screen, I will see the word screen and only those items that are on my Google Drive. So people ask, can I search my Google Drive? Well, this is a way which you can search your Google Drive. Now let's say I want to find Chromebook. You can see I have a lot of files there. And if I wish, I only want to find on G, I want to look at my Google Drive, and you can see that it shows everything that's on my Google Drive. So I put a space there in the word screen, I will see the word screen and only those items that are on my Google Drive. So people ask, can I search my Google Drive? Well, this is a way which you can search your Google Drive. You're not going to do it from your Chromebook, but you can do it from your PC. Find what you want, know where it is, and then go to your Chromebook and then work with it. Let's look at a few ways that I use everything. First, I want to find some files that I know were in the folder when I was working on Website of the Week. And as I start to type in website, you'll notice that it keeps changing with each letter. And as I continue to type, it found all of the Website of the Weeks. I'm looking for something in 13. So I'm going to come down here to that folder, and it could be even a file where that folder is. But I'm going to find that folder. I'm going to right mouse click, and I'm going to come up here to Open Path. I'm going to click on Open Path. it opens up my Windows Explorer to that folder and all of the files and subfolders that are there. Then I can find the file that I'm looking for. I'm looking for a file that I created in a program called Microsoft Publisher. I know all of the files that Publisher creates are .pub. So if I hit the star or asterisk .pub, it will find, the asterisk is a wildcard, so it'll find any file that has the extension pub. So I can come down here, I can find what I'm looking for, and I know that it's that file, or it probably is. I can tell it to open the path. It opens the folder that has that file in it, and then I can pick and choose which one I want to use. I lose a file. I might save it and can't remember where I saved it to right after I saved it, or I was clicking and dragging a file and dropped it in the wrong place. Now, how would I find it? Well, let's give an example. I'm going to open up a web page. I'm still on Vid Tools, and let's say I want to find support and everything, and there's something on here that I want to capture. So I do a screen capture. I happen to use a program called Snagit. You may use something else, but this is what I'm using. So we're going to take this information. We're going to tell it, okay, grab it and save it and save as, and we'll say test number 1. And I say save, and I close. It saved it. I close this. I didn't pay attention to where I was saving it. So how do we do that? We'll minimize this. We called it. Doesn't matter what we called it. Maybe I don't even remember what I called it. What am I going to do? I am going to look under date modified, but I know that I saved it as a JPEG. So let's first tell it we want to look for pictures. Now we're going to go to date modified. We're going to sort, find the last one, and there it is right at the top because it's the last picture that I saved. I just click on it. I can look at the preview, and that's what I wanted, and here is where it is. And so I can now right mouse click and open the path. Okay, it's in the articles for the blog. It's for this article, but maybe that's not where I want it. I can place it wherever I want now that I know where it is, and I can even rename it if I didn't like the title that I was using. So very quickly, you can find what you last saved, even if you can't remember the name or where you saved it to. How to find anything using everything on a PC. I'm Hewie Poplock. Okay, I see some comments. Excuse me. Several people, let's see. Thank you, Jolin, for putting in the link to voidtools.com where you can download it. Steve Parker said, yes, but the column still displays as KB by default. And then a little bit farther down, hang on a second, I got to clear my throat. Drew said size 1 megabyte on the search bar or use MB, TB, or TB. I'm not sure where you do that. I've not played around with that. I really haven't cared. And then Mike said, previously I told Huey that I couldn't get my pCloud folder and everything. Today I followed along with the tools options and found the folder for my pCloud drive and added it to the search. It's fairly well hidden, but but it's now available. And Mike, I did send you a screen capture, but there were so many different places. But I downloaded and created an account, a free account with pCloud, which is 10 gigabytes. I know, I think Bob said he had 500 gigabytes. I've got 10, but I did it just to see if I could find it in everything. And as soon as I added it to the folders, it found it. Or if I put a P, because it uses P as the drive letter, P colon at the top in the search box, it finds everything is on that P drive. So
for some reason, mine didn't do it by default, but as I was following along with you, as the video went to the options, I saw where it said add a folder to the search. And I added, and it showed the P folder, which is what I've got it called. And once I did that, then it showed up as one of the drives to search.
Yeah, Drew, you found you had to put something when you had to put an asterisk in there or a quote mark or something. What was it that you had to do?
What I did is on the search line, next to your search item, there's a bunch of functions that you can put in that are in the help file. One of those is called size colon. And then you can use Boolean functions like less than, greater than, or equal to a certain size so that you can find all files within 1 megabyte and 2 megabytes, or all files over 20 gigabytes, or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, it's a really powerful program, but the thing that amazes me about it is how fast it is. It is just, it's there. The preview is a little bit slow at times, but that's because it's got to go find the file and then use something to open it with. So, because it doesn't have its own, I'm sure it doesn't use its own. It has something that they've either purchased or utilized to open up the preview. So that's not always the fastest way. And I generally don't keep the preview on. So I want it fast and find what I'm looking for. But losing files that I just created, I save it, and then all of a sudden I realize I just saved it, and I didn't look where it saved it, and it wasn't where I thought it was, and I have no idea where it is. Just the way I did in the video is I just do a quick search on the last thing that I saved. Bingo, there it is, and whatever folder it's in, it's usually in the wrong one. I just move it to the right one. Sometimes I'll rename the file. So naming files is so important in any kind of search, but this does allow you to find just certain types, or if there's a word in it or something, that it makes it a lot easier to find. Any other comments or questions? All right, great. I'm going to mute everybody again just in case. And here's a video that I've been working on this morning, and it's going to be the final copy of it will be on YouTube, and it will also be on. I'll be using it tomorrow on Tech for Senior. But let's go ahead and share my screen. And I think I'll do it differently with this one video. There's a little introduction that I haven't. The immersive reader is part of Edge. To open Edge, we click the icon, and we want to go to a website with an article. Let's just pick this one. You would see this article on a web page. There are featured articles and some other information on the screen, but we're only interested in the article. And what we want to do is open up the immersive reader, which is part of Microsoft Edge, and we do that by coming up to the address bar, and we have a small icon here. We can either click this or just click the F9 key, and it will open up the immersive reader with that article. All we see is any of the article and any graphics that are included in the article. Now, there's several things that we can do in the immersive reader. We can read aloud, we can look at text preferences, we can adjust the grammar tools and reading preferences. We're going to look at each one of those. To read aloud, you just click Read Aloud.
How to test a microphone on Windows 11. How to. By Ben Stockton. Last updated on May 9th, 2022.
Now I stopped it. You could continue on. When you're listening,
are you having trouble with your mic on Windows 11?
You can click this icon
PC
right here,
users are more
and go to the next paragraph.
These apps are only as good as the hardware you're using. However, you may need to adjust.
Now, there are several voices that you can use to listen to the read aloud. We're using Microsoft Area Online Natural, and it's English, but you'll see, and that's United States. You can have English Canada, you can have English South Africa, and you can have many, many other languages as well. But it doesn't translate, it's only doing it in that accent. Now, you can also change the speed. You can make it faster, you can make it slower. So if it's reading too slow for you and you want to just speed it up and listen to it, you can, or if you want to listen very carefully, one word at a time, you can slow it down just by using the slide bar. And as an example, we'll continue here.
Adjust your microphone settings for your environment and get it ready to speak with friends, family, and colleagues.
Most of us seniors, that would be difficult to understand. So we would want it on normal and maybe even slower. To shut off the read aloud options, you just click the little X here and it gives you back that menu. Under text preferences, we have several choices here. One, you can make it much larger or smaller. Let's do smaller first because we're going to not use that. But if we wanted to go to larger, you can go to very large and really see the information. Let's keep it just above medium so it's large enough for you to see on the screen. Now you can change the spacing as well. So let's take where there's a couple of paragraphs here where you can see it a little bit easier. And we'll click text spacing and it'll give you more spacing between the words. You can also change the font. There's only 3 choices, but you can change it to Calibri, Sitka, or Comic Sans. You can also vary the width of the column. This is what it's at now. We can make it wider, and we can make it the widest. And you can have themes, so you can have it look different. Right now it's on this one. If we look at more themes, we can come down and we can have it various colors for whatever reason that we might want to have that. So those are the text preferences that you can have. Next are the grammar tools. Let's take a look. We can divide the words into syllables with a little dot between the syllables. We can also highlight different parts of speech using different colors, and you can change those colors, by the way, but right now it's purple for nouns. So if we click on nouns, you will see all of the nouns, and we have the show labels. If you don't want to show the labels, you can turn that off. The nouns still will have a purple color to them. If you want to add the verbs to them, which is a red, you will see that. And again, if you want to show the labels, you will see both the N and the V for the different parts of speech. You can also add adjectives and adverbs. The immersive reader reading preferences gives you some line focus, for instance. If you turn that on, you will see one line at a time. You can change that to 3 lines. Let's move that down so you can see what we're talking about, or 5 lines. There's also something called a picture dictionary. If it's turned on, and in this case it is, you can come down and look at different words, and when you do, you'll see like a magic wand. When you click that wand, it'll show you a meaning of the word in picture form. So as we come down to something else, like mic, it'll show you a picture of a mic. A radio, you'll see a picture of a radio. You can translate, but let's take Spanish, for instance. There is a button here that will say translate entire page. It does it that quickly. Of course, the graphics won't change. The article is now in Spanish, where we just turn the translate off. If you're in the immersive reader and you wish to print the article in this format, you come up to the 3-dot menu and come down to print. It will open the print dialog box. You'll see what the article will look like if you print it to your local printer. All I would have to do is come down here and click print and it will print it out. What if I want to save it as a PDF? You click this box and choose your printer. You will also see that Microsoft has a print to PDF. When I click on that, instead of printing to the printer, it's going to print to a file with a PDF extension. It'll be able to be read by a PDF reader. You'll see here it says Microsoft Print to PDF. When I click print, it doesn't print. It opens up a dialog box in order for me to save to a folder. Right now we're going to save it to the desktop. We're going to call it Immersive Reader and we'll save it. Now when we go to our desktop, we will see that we have an Immersive Reader file, and when we double click it, it opens in our default PDF reader. You can now open it, print it, do whatever else you would do with a PDF file. This is the same web page on my Chrome browser. It doesn't have the Immersive Reader. Ron told me about an extension called Immersive Reader that I could add to Chrome, and when I did, it didn't work. It does for him, but for whatever reason, I couldn't make it work. So I'm not showing you that. But what I do use in Chrome is something called Print Friendly and PDF. And you'll see that I am pointing to it. I have it as an extension. I've added it to my Chrome browser. When I click it, it shows me the same article with all of the extras removed, very similar to the Immersive Reader, but there's fewer things that you can do with it. But you can print directly from it. You can save it as a PDF and it will download, and you can email it to somebody. You can change the size of the font, but let's move this up a little bit. But when you do, you only have the choice of, you can make it smaller or you can make it up to 130%, and that's it. You can't make it any larger than that. And you can make any picture smaller. So if you wanted to make that picture smaller, you could. Pretty much what you can do with Print Friendly, but the ability to print directly from it or make a PDF from it, Immersive Reader in Edge, you have to go out and go to your print or PDF programs.
You're frozen, Hewie.
Yep. That's pretty much the end of it anyway. Okay, so that's the Immersive Reader in Edge. It's not in Chrome. And Ron yesterday showed me an extension he has. I couldn't make it work, so I eliminated it. It's from a third party, and it just didn't work. But so I am going to use, for the remainder of the items we cover today, I'll probably use Edge and the Immersive Reader to make it big enough for you to be able to read. But are there any questions about it? Cheryl, thank you for giving me that reminder to show it again. I haven't shown it since it first came out, but I think it's a valuable tool. Stephen? We see you, but I don't hear you. You're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I clicked the wrong one. Does that work with a Word document as well? Other kinds of documents?
No, it is. It's a browser add-on.
Strictly browser.
Although you could open a Word document in the browser, you could try it. I've not tried that, but you could play with that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Joe Nowak.
Yeah, when you get an article, frequently they'll have kind of subheadings where they say, for additional information, read so and so and such. That's not removed by this, and if it's reading it out loud, it goes through that. Is there any way to forward that, make it skip that, so that it doesn't break things up like it's finishing one paragraph and then there's a segment inside the article that says, for further information on this topic, read the following. And then it goes on with the text beyond that. It's like a little, almost like an advertisement built in, or
Yeah.
headings for or captions for photographs that are in the document.
Yeah, I was just going to mention the captions, the photographs I noticed are there too. I don't know a way to eliminate those. It's pretty good, but it does have some faults, and that's one
You
of them.
said that you can use a button to move a paragraph ahead at a time. Would that work for those? Possibly. I've never tried it, so.
Yeah, it'll skip. So as it's reading down, if it gets to one of those little ads, if you hit that button, it'll skip to the next paragraph. Yes.
Okay, that's a solution. That's a workaround. That'll be fine. Thanks.
Okay, Drew.
What was the name of that quick Chrome extension that you just showed off?
It's print friendly and PDF. And it
Oh, thank
also,
you.
I also have it as an extension. When I added it, it's a Chrome extension, so it also works on Edge. So you're going to have both that and the immersive reader on your Edge. So it's a reason maybe to use Edge more than I do.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other comments, questions? All right. Again, Cheryl, thank you. I hope will that help you and your people? Just nod your head yes if you don't want to speak. That's fine. Okay, great.
There are some other nice features in Edge that you might want to explore.
Yeah, but I only had 10 minutes for that one, and it took 10
know.
minutes. All right, let me share my screen again. And this time I'll go to basic. And I don't need that. And I'm going to bring up Edge. And I'm right where I want to be, which is my website and the WinSIG for the items that we were going to cover today. And what I didn't do was grab all the articles, so I'm going to have to click on them and then go to the immersive reader. I do have an extension that is called Open Multiple URLs, and when you open that, you can list a whole bunch, but I didn't copy and paste them into this, so I can't use that. So we'll just close that. But the next item on here is, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, and you know what? I've got to move this. Whoops. I've got to move this down because my Zoom menu is overseeing it. I couldn't get it. So we're going to go to the immersive reader, and then I'll full screen it. And I am going to, under text preferences, we'll make it a little bit wider. And we'll make the, let's see, the text size. There we go. And we should be able to see a nice, there we go. So internet is dead. Here are 10 more outdated tech devices that you need to get rid of. And it talks about some of these items. It talks first of all about Internet Explorer. Hopefully you have, you're not using it, and you probably can uninstall it as well. And they talk a little bit about it in the article. Now, the first item that they talk about is the first generation Amazon Echo. And you know what? That's what I had, or what I have, is the first generation Amazon Echo. I bought one of the first ones when it was first announced. And then before it was released, I had it just a couple of days before and was able to start using it. Well, as technology improves, so do the skills of the hackers. Unfortunately, older smart devices just can't handle the software upgrades to make them more secure. The first Amazon Echo smart speaker is a good example of that. Hackers can take control of them by exploiting a pre-existing vulnerability. And it says a recent study shows, and you can click on it, and it'll take you to that study. We're talking about the tall cylindrical model that came in white and black. Mine was black. It's in my kitchen table. I don't want to get up and get it. I probably should have had it in here to show you. But if you have one, stop using it. So if you want to replace your old Echo, a 4th generation Echo Dot is a solid smart speaker upgrade for around $50 at full price. Sometimes you can catch it on sale. Well, there's a 4th generation Echo Dot with a clock in it. It's got a little lighted clock in it, and it sells for $59.95, $60. Last week, when I thought about this, I went and I searched, and I got a message from Best Buy. They were running a special on some Echo products. So I went and looked, and they had a special on that particular Echo Dot that I wanted for $39, a saving of $20. However, they didn't have one locally, and I could have gotten it and had it delivered, but the delivery was going to be several days or maybe a week. And you know what? That doesn't count anymore. That just doesn't go. So I did a search, and I found it on Target, on Target's website. They had them in stock in the store, and they had it on sale for $32.95. So it was even less. And then I had some, they have some kind of a rewards program. I had another $1 or something in it. So it ended up, and it was the last day of the no tax for certain items because of school starting. So I got it with no tax. So I ended up with $31 and something. I got it. I unplugged the old one. I did read how to clear it, how to get, and I unplugged it. I plugged in the new one. It took 4 steps, and it automatically connected. It didn't even ask me for my code for the network. It knew the network. It connected to it, and I was using it. And it's so I have gotten rid of that 1st generation Amazon Echo. And I mentioned that many of you should do that if you have that model. Google's Nest Hello Video Doorbell. The early versions of the popular one from Google isn't safe to use. Amazon's Cloud Cam security camera is another item. Here's another one that I have, but I don't think I have the original, but the Wemo Insight smart plug, and I looked at it. I had to look up to see which ones I had, and I have a different one. I have a Wemo smart plug, but it's not the Insight, and I have several of them. I have probably 8 or 9 of these smart plugs around the house, so I can turn on lights. I can turn on my Sensi smellers, and I can turn off the TV power, so it has to reboot my TV. And so on. And so I have several of those scattered around the house, but I don't have that particular one. And the 1st generation Wise security camera. I know, Bob, you have a lot of Wise products. You might want to check and make sure if you have one of the 1st generation ones, you might want to replace it.
Second only.
Okay, good. And then your old routers. Just because something works doesn't mean you should continue using it. Take your router, for example. Sure, it could be functioning just fine when it comes to your home internet connection, but how secure is it? And so they talk a little bit about the security within the older ones is not very good. Bob, you did a video on routers as well, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Just recently.
Correct.
If you think of it or can find quickly the link to it, if you put it in the chat box, it would be great.
I'll do that.
All right. And then, of course, your old cell phones. Some of you hang on to old cell phones for a long time, and they work, and it's a lot cheaper to hang on to them. However, the ancient in tech years, the iPhone 5 can still make calls, but it's not very good at protecting your data. When Apple rolled out the iOS 15, it cut support for the i5 and older models. Without the latest operating system, your phone is vulnerable to any new hack, bug, or vulnerability. Even more bad news: when Windows iOS 16 is released this fall, more phones will land on the chopping block. The update is for iPhone 8 and later, So sorry if you had the first generation SE, 6S, 6S Plus, 7 or 7 Plus. Apple's not the only one cutting off support for older phones. Google Pixel 4 and Pixel 4 XL will lose access to new updates come October. So no matter what kind of phone you have, an easy way to check on how long it's going to be supported is a quick Google search. Type in your phone's name along with security support to see how long your new phone, the features and security patches will be able to be updated on your phone. And then we also talked about surge protectors on Tech for Senior Live, and Bob did, I think, a video on surge protectors. And so it might be a good idea. Those, as they are used and protect you with surges, it lessens the surge protection in that surge protector. So if you've had one for a long period of time, it may not be doing any surge protecting at all, even though you can still use it as an extension block. So you might want to replace some of your outdated surge protectors. And old hard drives. Think about everything stored on your computer's hard drive. You probably have years of files, photos, videos, and you name it. If you're still using a spinning disk for storage, there's a good chance that it's approaching end of life. You should do two things: transfer your data to a new solid state drive while you still can, and then make a digital backup of everything. And this is from Kim Commando, and her pick for safe, secure storage is iDrive, which is what I use, and I do recommend it as well. And you can get 5 terabytes of storage free, or not free, but at 50% off. And then your old cordless phone in the house. Unless you work in a museum for technology antiquities, it's time to give up your old cordless phone that runs on 2.4 gigahertz or 5.8 gigahertz bands. They are notorious for causing interference with Wi-Fi signals. And if your internet is acting up, this could be the culprit. Try upgrading to a phone that runs on a 1.9 gigahertz band instead. So let's stop sharing on that article. Any comments or questions? Basically, when things get old, sometimes they have to be replaced. And I don't mean us. I'm talking about our technology devices.
I was noticing that article. I'd ask about backup. In the article, there's a link you can click for a 50% off iDrive 5 terabytes for $39.75 for the first year.
Yes, and that's a good deal. And I do use iDrive, and I think I pay I'm up to $90 a year. They did up it from 2 gigabytes a year, or 2 gigabytes of storage, to 5 as the basis for that. So, but I've been real pleased with it. I can go out and even with my Chromebook, I can go out and sign into my account and download any file that I have stored up there as a backup at any time. I can do it from my and I can do it from my PC as well. Just to get one file at any time, I can get it, or I can get whole folders and so on. Of course, there's download issues if it's a large number of files. Stephen.
Yeah, so you mentioned the life of spinning hard drives. What about the life of digital drives? What comparatively, how long do they last?
I read an article about that. They do have a finite life and a finite number of times that you can write to them. But I don't remember what it is. But that's why it's important to have backups no matter what you're using.
Indeed.
Because if they die and that's your only source of data, that data is gone.
Yeah, and that's true of flash drives as well, the little thumb drives and flash drives. Okay.
Any other comments or questions?
Hey, Huey.
Yes, Bob.
Yeah, just an FYI, for a mechanical drive, the life expectancy of a mechanical drive is 44,800 hours, or 5 consecutive years running. So if the machine was running, turned on for 5 years and never shut off, you'd reach your end of life, 44,000 hours.
Yeah, and some will last. It's kind of like a car. You can get a car that'll last 100,000 miles, and you're going to have some that it's time to get rid of them when they've had 50,000 hours.
I've had drives that are upwards of 80,000 hours and still running like a clock. And I've had Seagate is especially notorious for this. Around the 2016, 2019, the 1 terabyte drives were real bad. They would warm up a little bit, and the platters would expand, and they would have seek errors and read errors tremendously, and the drive would slow right down to nothing. They were useless.
Yep. So it's all the more reason to have backups.
Oh yeah.
So no matter what you use to back up, make sure you have something, and at least one copy, preferably two, in two different places. And if you use the same hard drive to back up all the time, don't overwrite your last backup. Make a second copy, even if it's on the same drive, because if something is damaged in that second one, you can always revert at least to some of the files that you had in that older version. But if you overwrite it, it's gone. Drew?
One thing that you might want a little tip is there's a company called MultCloud, it's multcloud.com. And they allow you to synchronize files and directories across your cloud accounts. And what I do is take my important directories and I copy them. I have them automatically synchronized once a day from Google to Microsoft, so that if anything should happen to the Google cloud, I have all of my important files in the Microsoft cloud. And you can do that for free.
And can you put that in a link to that in the chat box, please?
Sure.
All right. Anyone else have any comments? Joel?
Yes, two of you have just mentioned that there's a promotion on iDrive for a lower cost.
Yeah.
How is that on the iDrive site, or do I need a special code from some other magazine? I would like to go forward with that. Can you tell me where I should look?
I believe it's on the iDrive site.
Thank you.
Actually, it's in the article that Hewie just covered, talking about hard drives. There's a link inside the article that you can click on, because if you go to the iDrive site, it costs more money.
Yeah. It was Kim Commando's column.
Should I replay this program to find that link towards that article, or
go to Hewie.net and the WinSIG, and there should be just click on the article.
I will look. Thank you for your help.
Sure. Thanks for being here, Mike.
In a previous WinSIG, we discussed hard drive Sentinel. So I went ahead and mentioned that in chat with a link to it. You can have it run automatically with Windows or just bring it up when you want to. It gives you a nice list of how well your drive is performing, whether it is solid state or mechanical, and it gives you an estimate of life, and it gives you a % rating as to how much you've got left. So it's a good utility to check out.
Okay, and Bob has put in the chat the video that he did on surge protectors, and Mike did a link. It has a link for HD Sentinel, and Jolin has multicloud.com listed in the chat box. Now,
I also put a link in for the other one that you requested.
okay,
That
great.
was the first thing I added. Yeah,
Yeah, the modem advice.
right.
If you want, those of you on a PC or a Mac, I don't know on the other devices, but there's 3 dots at the bottom of the chat box, at the bottom right. Just click on that and save the chat, and you'll save all of those links, so you don't have to copy and paste them or write them down. But do remember that it does create a folder under Documents called Zoom, and then in that folder there will be today's date, and it'll say WinSIG or CFCS WinSIG, and then in there will be the text file. And anything that's left after this, you'll have to save it again to get that. It doesn't keep updating. Okay, any other comments before we move on? Joel, did you have another comment or?
I'm sorry, let me take the hand down.
Okay. All right, we got a little bit more time here. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. We'll come back here to the WinSIG. And the next article is new Windows 11 features you should be using. A lot of these we've already covered at one time or another, but let me go ahead and open it up in the immersive reader. Thank you, Cheryl. And you'll see it also makes a very big tweet icon. But whether you've been using Windows 11 for a while now, or you're just getting started with a new Windows 11 PC, there are some good new features that you might have missed. And here are 10 great ones you should be using. That's this writer's opinion, not necessarily mine. And let's see some shortcuts. It lists some shortcuts there. And then under the quick setting menu, one of the nicest new features of Windows 11 is the quick settings menu, which allows you to quickly change your system volume, brightness, Wi-Fi settings. It replaces the action center. And let's see if I come down here, the quick settings should be, I got to remember where it is.
A little bit to the side,
Yeah,
right there. Look,
that's the, I guess. Yeah, there it
click
is.
on that double icon.
Yeah. Which double icon?
You got it.
Okay, yep. So it's here. So there are some quick items here. You can adjust this, but right now, if I want to turn, I don't use Wi-Fi. I'm connected directly. If I want to turn it on, I can click here. If I want to focus assist, if I want accessibility, if I want to turn it to airplane mode, I can just click a button right here. And I can also turn up my volume on my speaker so I can hear you louder. And if you just click away from it, it goes away. So that's the quick settings menu. And you can also press Control A. In this on your keyboard to click the volume. When I hit Control A, it highlighted everything in the document. So
Try menu key A. Try the Windows logo in the A.
Okay. Yep. They've got it wrong in the article. It's the Windows key and A, and that'll bring that up as well. Thank you for that. That's why you're here, and that's why we have this. We help each other. And then you can customize the menu by clicking on the pencil icon in the lower right of that. So let's do that again. There's a pencil down here. If I click that, you can add and change some things. You can pin those items, and I think there are some others that you can unpin them and so on. And if you want to add, you can add some more things to it, like cast. So if you want to cast it to your TV, your keyboard layout, mobile hotspots, nearby sharing, and project, you can do that right from here. Okay, the snap menu. I love this feature. If you come up here and hold your mouse over the full screen button, you get choices, and you can set this up in any way. So if you want the particular screen that's there, if I click that, it puts it up in the corner, and then it allows me to put something else over here, and I can put something else down here, and I've got the desktop, and I can open up something even in here. So I can do that, and then I can also, if I don't want that anymore, we can just drag this. Well, let's just let's see. I just double click it. No, my menu is covered up at the top because of Zoom, so I can't get to it, but there
Try
is-
the escape button.
I'm sorry?
Try the escape button.
No. No,
I think on the three dot more icon on the Zoom, you can hide that top panel briefly.
yeah, probably. Let's see.
An alt tab should take you to where you need to be so that you could.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. That would be it.
Control / or Control Alt Shift H, hide meeting controls.
Let's see.
Control / or Control Alt Shift H.
Control /.
Yep, that's what it says. Hide meeting controls.
Oh, that's to hide the meeting control. I'm
Yeah.
trying to make this, bring this back to full screen.
Oh, sorry.
Pin, that unpins it. No, that's not it. Wonderful.
Yeah, what you need is the maximize box, which is hidden underneath the controls.
Oh, is it? Okay. Let me use it.
I can see his maximize box in the upper right on my screen. But
This button here.
yeah,
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I just have to get in the right one here.
yeah, that one's underneath it.
Yeah, that one closed. So this one is underneath here.
And the
if we-
best way is to use a separate desktop, which has got Zoom on one and got your presentation on the other. But
Yeah. Let me move that over here and then full screen it and then bring it back. There we go.
What
No.
about trying Windows key plus the up arrow?
I don't know. We're gonna have to look for that one anyway. So let's come back here. Whoops. Here to WinSIG. Back to this article. Well, actually, we're done with that article.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to the next article. How are we doing on time? We're getting there. The Windows 11 feature, and let's jump down 10 hidden Windows 10 features. So if you're still using Windows 10, this would be a good article for you. This looks like the same article, but it's a little bit different. Virtual desktops, and instant timestamp in Notepad is kind of neat. All you do is hit the F5. So if you've got Notepad open, you just hit F5. It automatically puts a timestamp and date in there. Snip and Sketch for screen captures. I use Snagit, but Snip and Sketch.
That's what I'm
Can
gonna.
get to that with Windows Shift S.
This
So
is
Windows Shift
just
S.
what do they call that? The home page.
And
And
that brings this up, and I can take this. I think it Snagit takes a hold of it. Yeah, I'm sure that's what happens. All right, so I can't show that to you because I'm using another program and that takes precedence. The Windows Time Machine backup, built-in Windows 10 feature called File History makes a backup of your files every hour by default, but you can change the frequency as little as every 10 minutes, similar to Time Machine on a Mac. Turn on File History, press Windows I to open settings and navigate to update and security and backup. So Windows I, backup and security. Well, this is Windows 10, so I can't, it's not going to be the same here. Okay. But you can get to it, then add a drive button, and you can select a drive, usually an external drive where you want Windows to save backups, and you can configure the file history settings and more options. So let's look in the, let's see, let's look in settings and see if
It's
it's still.
it's actually your default setting for backups in Windows 10 and 11. Prior to that, you use the image backup, which was part of Windows 7. But the file is the default settings now.
No file. I don't have it turned on, but apparently you can have it. You can find the file history in Windows 11 as well. Okay, let's see. What's this? Screen record with Xbox Game Bar. I don't know if any of you use an Xbox. Mike, do you? You use one of those.
You don't need an Xbox for that feature. It will record your screen, everything that you do on it.
Yeah, there's a game bar. There's a game bar in Windows 11 that you can have, or Windows 10 as well.
Yep.
And yes, you can use that. And power user menu. I don't use that. And focus assist and clipboard history. Again, I use a third-party clip program, but in Windows 10 they added the clipboard history, so you can save. I think it's up to 10, and it might be more, but you can go back 10 clips to see what you did clip and utilize them.
Huey,
Yes.
the power menu is simply using the Windows key and X, or doing a right click on the start button.
There we go. Okay, and what do I want to show there?
No, that is the power menu.
Okay. Oh, I see. Yes.
Or you can do a right click on the Windows key, the start button, and that'll also bring it up.
That's correct. Good. Thank you for that. I don't remember all of these things, and none of us do. And that's why these meetings are so good, because it reminds us of some of these things. Either we heard and forgot and don't use, or we just didn't remember, or we just never knew. Steve, you have your hand up.
Yeah, Bob, in the chat on modem advice, it's got the patchmypc.com. Is that right? Or is there a link in there, page on it or something, or is that the wrong link?
No, I put a link in there, and that's not Patch My PC.
Okay, that's what it says in the chat. It says modem advice and then patch my PC.
Let me go back and make sure.
Okay, while he's doing that, Joe, you have a question?
Yeah, on the clipboard history that you had, I find that when I use that clipboard history, how many items back in time that it goes is probably, I think, a function of the size of what you have clipped, so to speak. I find if I have images, it may only allow me 3 or 4 items back, but if I have text, it'll give me more, because that takes up apparently less storage in the clipboard. But the number of clips you can have in that history is variable. At least that's what I've found for me.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I did too.
I beg your pardon?
Yes, I have the same thing too. I think Huey was probably talking about the Windows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which gives you the ones that you've got tagged to your toolbar.
No, I was talking about the clipboard history. I use a third-party program called Clipmate, which hasn't been updated since I think 2011, maybe. And I wrote the author, and he says he's not going to, but it still works. And I use it on. I've been using it on my PCs since it was out. It is you do have to buy it, and he doesn't update it, so I don't recommend it anymore. But I did a video on Clipmate and how I use it and how it's used, and it hasn't changed in a good 10 or more years, but it still works great. And so I'm so used to it that I just don't shut it off. And I haven't found anything that does most of the things it does. It changes case. Yeah, I can copy something and then change the case of it. I can tell it with one button, clear all of the text formatting. It just does a lot of things. And it saves all of the clips. And when it gets to a certain number, it makes a zip file out of them and then it saves them. I just recently got rid of about 10 years of clips. Because number one is those clips where every time I did a copy and paste, that means things that I was copying that I might not want anyone to have access to were there. So I made sure I deleted all the old ones.
Clipboard history, you can also set it up to sync between machines.
That's a good point. Yeah. This has been the Central Florida Computer Society Windows Special Interest Group, WinSIG, for Sunday, August 14th, 2022. I'm Hewie Poplock.